The managed security services are done under a number of different ways, a number of different options. One is around vulnerability management, which is understanding the vulnerabilities within inside an organisation and reacting quickly to them as we see them. The Security Operations Centre and the Fusion Centre is around the 24/7. So should we see something suspicious within the environment, should we see some lateral movement, should we see some data being sent outside the organisation, then we would alert on that and then we'd automate a response for that as well. So that's the Security Operations Centre. The threat intelligence is reacting to the latest threats that we see within the world. That's on the open source and that's also on the dark web. And having the ability that when we receive that threat intelligence to put into be actionable alerts so we protect our customers instantly. If your infrastructure is on the cloud or if it's internally, what that basically means is that we would onboard these devices, so cloud devices, endpoint devices, mobile phones in certain cases, and then that would be ingested into that. The moment that happens, we would then offer the 24/7 monitoring. So on the back of that, if we see something suspicious, the customer would get an alert and we would do the automation to shut that attack down. The customer then would be presented with a weekly operational report. So again, what's happening with their environments, what the latest threat intelligence is, and then we have a monthly executive report, which is basically a cybersecurity maturity assessment, which basically helps mature the organisation to make sure they're dealing with the alerts, to make sure they're maturing as a business. It's a whole different life cycle of an attack. So the first part is make sure you've got a secure foundation. So to make sure that your infrastructure is to a certain level, and that's what you need to do, and that's what every business needs to do, especially in 2022. The second part is that if you're compromised, it's about how quickly you react. There is an argument in today's society for cybersecurity that it's not a case if you're attacked, it's a case of when, but it's being able to spot that and it's being able to react to that and to go back to normal business as quickly as possible. So as part of that life cycle, if you've been attacked, that investment isn't wasted. It actually could be advantage, well, it is an advantage to react quickly, to actually shut that threat down, to make sure the business remains operational, and to understand how the threat actor got into that business. And again, that's part of the life cycle of improving the cybersecurity maturity of that business and making sure that the tools are in place so we can use them when or if an attack happens. Engagement we would do with a client is usually around the cyber maturity assessment. So we'd be looking at that organisation, looking about how cyber mature it is, looking at the infrastructure they have in place on the cloud, and also if they've got an internal infrastructure. We would then do something called a penetration test, which then in turn to make sure that the organisation is to a certain level. So that would be kind of pre-engagement. In the middle of the engagement would be the managed service. So it would be the 24/7 monitoring, it would be the latest threat intelligence, and it would be the vulnerability management. That's the ongoing that happens month after month, year after year, to make sure that the business remains secure and all has the agility to adapt for when threat intelligence appear. And then finally, it's the metrics around that. It's making sure that the board and also the senior management can measure the improvements in cybersecurity for